Hey guys, I apologize for the late reply. I had some computer issues and then, you get busy. But here I am. So I took a look at my last video and was very happy to see that there were 3 comments and 2 questions. So I'll just jump right into it and answer them according to their place on the list. So first up, Benny496 says, good to hear you're doing well. What kind of services do you provide? What happened to the school you sold? So I guess there's 3 questions. Thank you. I'm glad I'm doing well too. I hope everyone else is doing well. It's always good to be doing well rather than worse. Okay, so the school I sold is doing well. By chance, I ran into the teacher who took it over last night. I was on a run to do anywhere from 3 to 5K. I was at night, kind of staying out of the heat, and there she was walking down the sidewalk. So talked for about 10 or 15 minutes, and yeah, things are going better for her. The school is still going strong, and she's kind of more centralized now instead of driving all over God's country, trying to slap together a living, which is all I wanted, Now, what kind of services do you provide? Well, I have my experience as a former English teacher who has made the transition from that into working professionally in IT in Japan. And I worked about 2 years as a professional web development instructor. So I have a lot of experience helping people from extremely different backgrounds get comfortable with programming to the degree that they can actually get a job. And that was actually extremely rewarding work for me, but it was unfortunately a very, very small company and somewhat unstable in terms of a long-term career. So I chose to move on good terms and seek employment elsewhere with larger companies and more stability, because believe you me, that's what you want when you've got kids. So also, I'm going to be starting a course probably this coming spring. Sorry, I've got this itch here. I've been working on it here and there for about 6-7 months. I just really realized that I miss working with people and helping them learn to program and making that transition. So a lot of it's still in the works, but it's coming together. So if you want to know more about that, please let me know. We can take it from there. All right, so the last question asks, it's from Greg-UQ8NG. He asks, or perhaps she, I'm assuming he, based on the Greg part, what is the best place to find a developer job in Japan? Okay, so there's a few different factors that come into play here. The biggest are, where do you live? Are you willing to relocate? And what kind of experience do you already have? So in terms of just pure physical location, Tokyo is absolutely the best market to find a job in IT and programming. I don't know why, but based on my own experiences, I would say over 90%, 95% of positions are located in Tokyo. And increasingly, more and more companies are going back to either fully in-office or a hybrid model. So that would be the place to look. Now, if you don't have a lot of experience, I would not recommend doing that. There's a couple things you'll need to really get a strong start with the interview process. The first is experience building applications, whether that's something you do on your own because it's your hobby, or you went to some kind of official training like a boot camp, or maybe learned about it in school. And the second thing is a portfolio, preferably with all the applications deployed and backlinked to your GitHub repository for each application, with a nice README file that's also backlinked to your deployment. And the reason that's helpful is because it shows hiring managers and recruiters that you have a degree of experience, you're able to build applications, deploy them. They can take a look at your work. It's just like being an artist, or really any position where you need to show a record of your work. So without that, it's going to be quite difficult to get started. And also, a portfolio gives you something to talk about in the interview. It's almost without fail what will happen when you apply to a position, assuming your resume makes it, through the first few screenings. They will take a look at your portfolio, take a look at where you've worked, take a look at your GitHub. And also, if you have a blog, they'll definitely look at that. And they may not at first, but once you start kind of moving through the pipeline and getting closer and closer to an offer, most companies will read your blog and try to learn a bit about how you think, your experience, what kind of person you are. So the more of that you can show and make available online, the stronger your chances are of getting selected for an interview and then moving through that interview process to hopefully get an offer. So if you don't have any experience and you don't have a portfolio, but you do want to become a developer in Japan, the best thing you can do for yourself is just to start studying on your own. And you don't have to go spending a lot of money and going crazy. If you already have a computer, there's actually a lot of really high quality tutorials on YouTube. You may have to kind of sort through them and find, maybe the teaching style and type of application and programming language you want to work with all in one place. But there's some very, very high quality free material out there. There's also a great website called udemy.com. And they generally have very, very deep discounts when you first sign up. I'm talking about like 95%. So if you don't have an account, or you do and you've missed the original sales, courses will normally go for like 20,000 mon, 2,500 mon, somewhere around there. But when sale time comes around, it's like 1,500 yen, 1,600 yen. And that's also a great resource. Most of the teachers on there will get back to you within 24 hours, or sometimes they'll have dedicated staff to do that for you. And what I like about that approach is because it gives you the time and space to kind of naturally develop the foundation you'll need. And it's also a very low investment, right? You can really find out, is this something you are truly interested in? Is this something you feel like you could do as a job? Is it something you want to pursue? And it's such a valuable. Those are such valuable things to know before you really start going all in, because it's going to take a lot of work and generally a lot of time before you land your first position. And then from there, it's going to be your daily life. So you want to be sure this is something you want to do. So I can say, a lot of people come from all different backgrounds into programming. I learned this firsthand working with students in the U.S. while I was living here in Japan. And it's a different journey for everyone, and it's also a very personal journey. But it can be done. Don't beat yourself up if you feel like, oh, I could never be a developer, it's too hard, or I was so bad at math in high school, or whatever. There's a lot of misconceptions about the nature of the work. Nobody remembers everything. Everybody Googles almost everything. And on top of that, aside from YouTube and Udemy, a lot of the tools you'll be using are free. They're maintained by these super companies like Microsoft or Facebook or Twitter. So also there's an amazing community out there. Stack Overflow is great. Even just perusing older answers. So you can put a lot of it together yourself. And then from there, if you really feel like, okay, this is something I want to do, a full-time coding boot camp can be a good investment. It's not 100% necessary, but what it does do is it brings up the bar, so to speak, for your level of commitment. And probably way, way more importantly, is introduces you to a community of working developers and teachers and professionals whose job it is to train you and place you in the industry. So that can be a very valuable fast track to your first position. But before you go signing up for a coding boot camp and dropping, anywhere from 1 to 2 to 3 million yen, it's a really, really good idea to have the foundation and a kind of working sense of familiarity with the development environment and programming languages and GitHub and debugging. These things will always be with you as a developer. And then B, the conviction that this is something you want to do. You do want to get into it because, yes, it sounds great. I work as a developer in Tokyo, but the fact is, it's not for everybody. I've run into that as well with students who, got into it, worked through the course, built these amazing portfolios, interviewed, found work, got started in the job, and a few months later decided, it's not for me. So the smoother you can make your journey, the better. So I would say, if you're like myself, say 5-6 years ago when you're just getting started building websites, maybe you built your first WordPress website and you can show it to your friends on your phone, like, I made this, I bought the domain, and but you're not that fluent beyond working with content management system, but you kind of on the edge there. Just go out, look on YouTube, look on udemy.com. Find a full stack development tutorial where you build an application that has login functionality, which would automatically mean that it has database, and at some point in the tutorial you deploy this application to the web so that other people can come visit it on the internet, work through that, take stock of the experience, and then ask yourself, is this something I would like to do day in and day out and get paid for? And if your answer is yes, then all the power to you. Definitely keep going down that rabbit hole. Keep learning, keep building, keep networking, and you will be ready for your first job, which is always the hardest to get. All right, so how far are we into this video? Sorry, I got a window in front. Okay, just about 13 minutes. So to kind of recap, my services are, I have experience teaching people to code and getting their first job in the industry. I also have my own experience of making the transition from professional ESL guy to professional IT guy in Japan. So I'm very happy to share that experience based on any questions you might have. Similar to kind of what I went through with my English school, when I first started, I couldn't find anybody out there who had started their own thing that wasn't, working with their wife or working with like a group of ex-coworkers that decided to just kind of take everything and start their own thing. And, I couldn't find anybody. I was the only person I knew. So I wanted to make a record of that. So now I feel like, the world of IT offers a lot more potential long-term for I would say a bigger swath of people in Japan than the world of ESL, because most foreigners over here, we've taught English, we've done it to make ends meet, pay the bills, and so forth, but it's not the most rewarding or kind of long-term career option, in my opinion. So from here on out, I would like to document and relate my story and potentially help people follow the same kind of path. So there it is for now. If you have any questions or if you want to know about any resources like YouTube channels or good software to download to start playing with building applications, post them below. I'm all ears, and I'll make the next video as soon as I can. So thanks again so much for the comments. It made my day. I was really happy to see that. There's nothing quite like posting a video and then it's just crickets for 2 months. So hopefully we can continue this and slowly, gradually create a record for others to get value from. So I will leave it at that.